I think what I'll just do is I'll kind of dive right in, and this way we'll leave a little time at the end if anybody has any sort of questions that I can't answer. This book is strange, and you know, I'm a poet and I write poems, and my first two books were pretty sort of straight collections of poems. And all along, really, I started working on this book in late 2008. It took me about 5 years to write. All along, as I was writing my other books, I was working on this project, and I always knew it was kind of strange, and it's based on, and I'll read the epigraph, I'll read the little news clip at the beginning, it's based on this crime that actually happened. I say a crime, but actually the perpetrator was found not criminally responsible, and it's a man by the name of Vince Lee who had a schizophrenic break on a bus in Canada in 2008. He killed a man and did various things to him that even my book does not describe. Why write a book of this kind? And I've been asked that question again and again. I've gotten myself into all sorts of trouble answering it. And I did the worst thing you could probably do as a writer, which is Canadian TV shows. And, I said all manner of things. And I think all I want to say is that I knew from the beginning only this, is that I'm interested, and my students know this, I'm always talking about, I'm interested in all the facets of the human voice. And that is to say, take a book like Lolita, for example, a very, very different kind of book, a work of fiction and a masterpiece. Here's a voice, the tension lies in that we can sympathize with the humanity and the voice of the narrator, while of course thinking of all of his actions as reprehensible. That tension seems to me incredibly interesting. None of us can imagine what it would be, and I hope we never have to have done what this man has done. But we can imagine what it is to have done something we feel was out of our control to some degree. So I was interested in that voice, and it got me going, and once, as you know, if you're a writer, once you start hearing a voice, well, you better get it out of you. So I'm just going to begin, I'm just going to read some excerpts from it, and there will be moments where I'll read some kind of, if I dip my head down, do I go away entirely, or am I kind of still here? I'm still here. All right. Good. Yeah? Okay, so let's do it that way. So I'll just read this clipping from CTV News, which was from 7/31/2008. And it says, authorities say a man was stabbed to death, decapitated and partly cannibalized in what appears to be a random act of violence on board a bus that was en route to Winnipeg late Wednesday. He was a problem for me. It was so easy, like dropping a key in bathwater. I have always known every event stands in the room with me at one time, knitting its brow, ready for a long journey. I knew what he did to her and all of his lovers, like the breast milk buried in the valleys of the moon. But what surprised me was the aftermath of it, why they backed away, why it should be an ugly thing. He had hung up his face in my armpit for good and was clean now, on the ground. I have always known since that time on the floodplains in a boyhood of good filth that form is moral. It is a decision made elsewhere, the oak leaf, the ridiculous animals my mother made me care for. It is not formlessness I want, but to have my hand in the gaps between bodies, where I am happening at all times. Like migration, like the pulse of amphibians. Do you know Edgar Cayce? He was clairvoyant, a lavender child. He says this many times, above us what we cannot see, there is no time and no space. But he was only half right. He forgot to say, because I need it to be so. But they backed away, as though I were bad water. Once, as a boy, on my boy's body, I smeared my name in excrement and buttoned up and went to school and sat there rocking like a mussel full of light. I know they smelled me. I know they smelled the gospel according to Vincent. But there I was, on those stale pleather seats, barreling south, watching The Mask of Zorro with others. And they did not conceive, like flame, like magic, like smoke, like the phyla animalia. I know there is moral genius. I was J. Robert Oppenheimer standing in front of a class of school children saying uranium-235 plus a neutron yields barium-142 plus krypton-91 plus 3 neutrons plus energy. and their drool built a net for me to get caught in like mind in world. I remember childhood, a yard, a silo. I found a dead owl once in a pasture when no one was listening. I thought it was a boy in a christening suit. Maybe the boy who had been dragged off by coyotes in November. I touched him. This tide hit my shoulders. I could see his egg face screaming under the water, and I bit him hard. It was all so fixed, like Euclid, like Euclid's third law. What was I supposed to do?